Ultamize. One of the biggest mistakes professionals make is believing that if they explain themselves clearly enough, they'll be understood. Used to be true, not anymore. Because today, your full explanation is rarely what people see. They see a clip, a short segment, 10 seconds, maybe 20, and that clip becomes the entire story. A very public example of this comes from Elon Musk during a 2018 earnings call with analysts. He was pressed with detailed financial questions. At one point, clearly frustrated, he dismissed some of the questions as boring and cut them off. Now, if you listen to the full call, there's context, there's pressure, there's back and forth, there's tone and fatigue, but none of that mattered once the clip circulated. The headlines didn't say CEO under pressure and long, complex earnings discussion. They said CEO dismisses analyst questions. That moment alone moved the stock. That moment alone shaped perception. Now, Elon Musk ended up all right, but unless you personally are the CEO of a dozen companies, you might not get off as easily because it's hard for Elon to get fired. For others, it can be much easier. That moment alone told a story, whether or not it was the full story. And that's the key point here. The clip becomes reality, not your intent, not your explanation, not your follow up. Another example comes from Travis Kalanick, the former CEO of Uber. In 2017, he was recorded arguing with one of his own drivers. It was a longer interaction. There were multiple points being made, but the part that spread was the heated exchange where he appeared dismissive and combative. The clip reinforced a broader narrative about a leadership style, frankly, that he was obnoxious and rude. It wasn't a press conference. It wasn't a prepared speech. It was a moment in a car. But once recorded and shared, it became a defining communication moment. And that's what you have to understand. You're not being judged on your full performance. You're being judged on the most shareable fragment of it. So when you speak, especially in any setting that could be recorded, you have to ask yourself a very different question. Not, am I explaining this thoroughly? But if someone pulled 10 seconds from this, would it still represent me well? Would it make me look good? Because that's what's going to happen. Someone is going to take a fragment, and that fragment is going to stand on its own. If your meaning depends on the full context to be understood correctly, you're vulnerable. If your tone shifts halfway through a sentence, you're vulnerable. If you're saying something harsh, nasty, cruel, mean, especially to someone who seems like they have lower status than you or less power than you are really vulnerable. If you start carefully and then drift into something looser or more emotional, you're vulnerable. This is why discipline matters. Not rigidity, not fear, not walking on eggshells all the time, but awareness. The awareness that in today's environment, communication is no longer consumed in full, it's consumed in pieces. And those pieces don't ask for permission before they define you. So your job is to make sure that any piece, any slice, any 10-second window still sounds like you at your best. Clear, controlled, and consistent with how you want to be seen.